What supplements should we be using and what myths can we dispel today? With me, I've got Lauren Dewsbury from Vida Glow, who's going to help us understand more about supplements. Thank you, Lauren, for joining me today.
It's an absolute pleasure, Sarah. I've really been looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, brilliant. And thank you so much, especially with time zones and things. We've managed to make it work with Australia and things like that. So I super appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So I've prepared a little bit of a question because I think there's some, not confusion, but people aren't always very clear about supplements and things like collagen, marine versus bovine and things. So what I really wanted to do was clear some of that up because I think it would make it easier for spas to then be able to understand how they then work within a spa environment, how you can incorporate them in. So first question, marine versus bovine collagen. Can you explain the key structural and functional differences between them, between the collagen peptides and bovine collagen, and why marine collagen is often positioned as more bioavailable?
That's a great place to start. And Sarah, this is one of the most common questions that I'm asked every single day. So there's a couple of key differences between the two, and there is some limited evidence to show this. And I will say for the listeners, the most important thing is the particle size of the collagen. That is the most critical thing that's going to determine how well it works and the clinical results that people see. But before I go there, I will take a step back and say, in light of that, marine-derived collagen tends to have a smaller particle size or molecular weight, as we say, relative to other sources like bovine. So you might notice that with bovine collagen, the dose could be 10 to 20 grams per serve, whereas with marine, it's often as low as 2.5. So the overall volume of product that you need is lower. There is one study that reported that marine collagen is 1.5 times more bioavailable than bovine collagen. And it seems that marine collagen has a higher biocompatibility with our biology relative to other sources. But there isn't a lot of strong clinical evidence that's taken the time to compare sources. There is one study, a systematic review and meta-analysis, that found that marine collagen was associated with the best clinical outcomes for skin specifically. And there's a couple of reasons why that might be. One, the particle size, which I mentioned before, but also marine collagen tends to be really high in type 1 collagen. There's 27 types of collagen that's been discovered. But type 1 is the type of collagen that's most abundantly found in the skin. And that's not to say that other sources don't have type 1, because they do. But marine-derived collagen is exceptionally high in type 1 at about 93 to 95%. So that's why we might see these better outcomes in skin-specific outcomes. But if I may, I really wanted to take some time to explain to the listeners why particle size or molecular weight is so important, because I would say it is the most critical factor that's going to determine how well the collagen works and the clinical effects that we'll see. But it's probably the most under-addressed or thing that's least spoken about. So the particle size or the molecular weight, as we say, the scientific term of the collagen, is the size of the peptide. So collagen is a protein, and in its natural form, it's a very big protein. And often this can be the source of a lot of skepticism around absorption because, yes, it is a very big molecule and it is poorly absorbed unless it's broken down properly. So there is a process called hydrolyzation. And you can imagine hydrolyzation to be this process where imagine a pair of scissors, and those scissors are cutting these long chains of proteins into smaller little chains, which we call peptides. And as a result of that process, this huge protein that was once as large as 300,000 daltons. Daltons is the unit of measurement for proteins. Hydrolyzation reduces that size to as low as 2,000 daltons. That's the molecular weight of Vida Glow collagen. So that's less than 1% of its original size. So there's varying degrees of hydrolyzation. We use a patented enzymatic hydrolyzation at Vida Glow. And so that process is really critical because it's going to determine the size of the peptide, but also the quality of the peptide sequencing, which is what is really important for the biological signals that that peptide sends once it's absorbed into the body. So once we ingest collagen, it was once thought that the body had to break that collagen or protein down into its individual amino acid components. We now know that's not the case. So the body di and tripeptides, which are chains of amino acids of 2 and 3, can actually be absorbed intact through the epithelial or the gut lining, where they're then distributed throughout the bloodstream to do their magic. And we can talk more on how exactly they work. But to bring it back, hydrolyzation and the molecular weight or the particle size of your collagen supplement is the critical factor that you need to be aware of that's going to determine how well your collagen supplement works.
So, just to recap from what I've understood, because that was very scientific, you're saying that essentially the protein that's broken down, chopped up, the smaller it gets chopped up, the more efficiently it's absorbed. Is that right? So then it gets more effect, and marine, which is type 1, has more of an impact on skin.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
But I love the science, though. I think it's really interesting because until you mentioned the size of the molecule, the protein needing to be hydrolyzed, I didn't realize that that would be the difference between one collagen supplement and the efficiency or efficacy of another collagen supplement, because I just go, ooh, as a person on the street, collagen, great.
Yes, and that's the difficult thing, Sarah, because I love seeing the way that collagen has exploded recently. It's on the tip of everybody's tongue, everybody's talking about it, and I love that. But with that comes a saturation in the market of lots and lots of collagen products. So as a consumer, or perhaps even a spa owner, when you're presented with tens and tens of products that at face value look exactly the same, it must be so difficult to know how to make that choice. There's different price ranges, there's different packaging, there's different formats. And so, yeah, and it's very kind of unsexy because it's quite a difficult topic to educate and communicate on. It can be scientifically dense, but that is something that I hope everybody could take away from today, is to be asking those types of questions to find the best collagen for them.
And I think that's, you've really touched on a point in the spa industry and wellness industry, is I think we do catch on to a trend, And we've seen it in other areas like contrast bathing, and you know, in supplementation and longevity, is we ride on a trend, but we don't actually understand that trend. We go, oh great, collagen, or oh great, contrast bathing, everyone. But actually what we should be doing, I think, and I'm quite a big fan of this, is actually going, well, what do I know about this? Am I putting in the right treatment? Have I got the right products? Because one collagen supplement, like you're saying, could be very different to another, but without actually understanding the difference, which I'm learning today, thank you, you could be taking, or you could be recommending something that really isn't going to give a result. So you could do a great facial, take some Vida Glow supplements that will really help with collagen, but you know, if they're not using a Vida Glow and they're using another brand, they might not enhance that facial. They might not be doing a good job for that guest.
That's exactly right. And I really hope that we can clear up and clarify a lot of that today, so people do feel really confident that they're doing the best thing for their clients and their patients.
So that kind of ties into another question I was going to ask, with regards to like clinical studies and that kind of aspect of it. You touched on it earlier, that there hasn't been a huge amount of research on the differences between the collagens particularly, but your website mentions that you've got clinically backed outcomes. Is that something that you do yourselves in-house, or are there clinical studies you rely on? You know, what are the kind of specific measurable improvements that you might look for in skin, hydration, wrinkles, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. So whilst there's not a great amount of research comparing different collagen sources, there is a robust level of literature, clinical studies that looks at the clinical outcomes of collagen supplementation. So there's tens and tens of clinical studies now, high quality clinical studies as well, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials. A mouthful, but they are considered to be the gold standard when it comes to clinical medical research, where it's comparing the intervention, which is taking a collagen supplement, versus placebo, a sugar pill or a multidextrin powder or something like that, and comparing the differences. So we conduct or commission our own independent third-party clinical studies for our products. I'm very proud to say we invest very heavily into clinical research. We're a very science-forward brand, and we understand the importance of being able to show our customers and our retail partners that our products do what they say they're going to do. Yeah. We also conduct consumer studies in-house in our research lab at Vida Glow headquarters to test the real-world impact and experience of our products. But we also look to the broader literature as well, and clinical studies consistently show that collagen supplementation is able to improve a wide variety of clinical skin outcomes, things that we're very interested in when it comes to healthy aging and of the skin and skin longevity. So things like increasing skin hydration, increasing skin elasticity, reducing fine lines and wrinkles, even improving skin barrier function. Those outcomes are consistently shown across the research. There's also some more emerging outcomes around wound healing and scar reduction very early on. But and I can speak in more detail about that later around how some of our existing spa partners incorporate collagen into their treatments. But even, skin brightening, reducing signs of pigmentation. So it's really powerful because it's really having this broad spectrum impact on many different markers of skin health that we're all concerned about.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us start for the beauty side. I think it is, skin is the one thing that we hear about, but we don't necessarily hear about, you were saying, the wound healing or the other aspects of the skin and things like that. So I think there's always going to be a hook, isn't it? And we all have a level of vanity and ego that we do want to age healthily. We want to have the best skin that we can. So if that ticks the box and we get all of the other benefits, that's fantastic. That's a winner.
It's absolutely a win. And I think, as you said, I love the way you described, I think the skin benefits is what draws people in. And I know we're very focused on beauty. We are a beauty brand, so we always speak to the skin benefits. But what I'm really passionate about, and you touched on this earlier as well, is the idea of longevity and healthy aging. And collagen is a systemic tool. So yes, it supports the skin, but it also supports so many other aspects of healthy aging that's important, like connective tissue, joints, bones, muscle, blood vessel integrity. There's so many things, and that's the power of ingestibles as well, is we're not having a targeted local effect, we're having a systemic total body effect, and I think that's quite cool.
It definitely is, and that's how I started. But so this is going to be an interesting question. So for people who are starting to take collagen, whether it's yourself, myself, or Asparagus, what is the minimum effective dose that you need to take to see results? And is there a time where you could just need to stop taking it? You don't want to be having glasses full of it, I would imagine, because there must be a maximum that your body can absorb or needs at any one time. Is that right?
I'll answer that question in a couple of different ways. So I think there is a tendency in the industry, or perhaps even consumer perception, to always believe that more is better. And I would say that's not the case. So I think, particularly for collagen, quality over quantity is imperative. Just, a head nod back to our earlier when we were talking about hydrolyzation. So whilst there hasn't been any studies to show what the maximum our bodies can absorb, I think there are some brands that talk to this. There's no evidence to show what the maximum amount our body can absorb. And ultimately, it is a protein, and our bodies are designed to absorb lots of protein in one go. In saying that, the research really shows that the minimal effective dose, we see clinical benefits at 2.5 grams per day. Up to around, we see that there's no real benefit in going above and beyond 10 grams per day. And this is hydrolyzed collagen. And the most commonly used dose in clinical studies is 5 grams. So I think a practical way to think about this, and it depends on what your skin concerns and your goals are, potentially even how old you are, would inform how much collagen you'd be looking to have per day. If you're new and you're just starting, or perhaps you're still in your 20s, maybe early 30s, 2.5 grams is probably enough for you to see results. If you have more mature skin, or if you have really big, perhaps you're preparing for your wedding or a special event and you really want to maximize the impact, you might go for something higher like 5 grams or even up to 10 to see maximum results. But 2.5 grams is all you need per day to see clinical benefits.
Right, so I won't be drinking it tonight then. Just stick to the regular dose.
Yeah.
And are there any supporting ingredients? I mean, is it just the fact that you take the collagen, or are there supporting ingredients like vitamin C or antioxidants that enhance the collagen synthesis that we should be looking to make sure is incorporated in collagen products?
Yeah, there's a couple of different things that we can pair with collagen to see even better results. So when we ingest collagen, what happens is it's absorbed into the bloodstream and it's sending different signals to the body. So those peptides, they signal to these special skin cells that we have called fibroblasts. And fibroblasts are like the collagen producing machinery of the body. So when we ingest collagen, that sends a signal to the fibroblasts to multiply,
Right.
to multiply and also increase their collagen producing capacity. So we have more machinery, and those machinery are working even more efficiently than before. And that process is supported by vitamin C. So vitamin C really helps it's involved in that pathway of collagen production. So we know that having vitamin C alongside your collagen, which is what we've done in our liquid collagen mixed berry, we've got the vitamin C in there because that enhances our collagen producing capacity.
Okay.
Then we also know that when we take a collagen supplement, not only is it supporting collagen production, but it also supports other elements that are really important for the extracellular matrix, which is the structure of the skin. So it actually also increases the production of elastin and hyaluronic acid, which may be what's driving, at least in part, these benefits of, increased plumpness and bounce and hydration that we see. But also ingredients like hyaluronic acid, because they draw water to the surface of the skin, they can really enhance and work synergistically with collagen for those hydration impacts.
Okay.
Yeah, and then finally, I think what's really interesting and what is, again, not spoken about very often is when we have collagen supplements, not only are they supporting collagen production, but they're also reducing certain enzymes that we have in our body that degrade collagen or break it down. So not only are we building and encouraging the production of new collagen, we're also reducing or inhibiting the breakdown of our existing collagen. So there's a multi-pronged effect happening here. And the breakdown of our natural collagen, we want to hang on to as much collagen as we can. And there's a lot of factors that can accelerate collagen breakdown. UV or sun exposure is a really big one. We know that the sun is probably responsible for at least 80% of skin aging. Yeah. So that's going to impact your collagen dramatically. Also things like smoking and even alcohol, we know accelerate collagen degradation. So there's lifestyle factors, but also supporting alongside collagen, things like antioxidants. Lots and lots of antioxidants can reduce oxidative stress in the body and also help to preserve our collagen as well.
So I need to be taking an effective dose, making sure I've got some great supportive actives. And then I guess the next question is, how long will it be? I already do take I take your supplements, but how long would it take someone who started today, in that right combination to actually see any results?
Another good question. So again, it really depends. And I'll explain this through a Vida Glow lens. So we have our natural marine collagen, which is our entry level collagen supplement. And we usually see results start to occur around 4 to 6 weeks. So anecdotally from our community, the first thing that people always notice is that their nails are stronger. Perhaps they're going to the nail salon more regularly, which is a good problem to have. They're stronger, they're breaking less. Then between 4 to 8 weeks, that's where we really see the skin outcomes start to optimize. So you might notice, that glow when you look at yourself in the mirror, or you might notice more firmness, more plumpness. And those anecdotal reports we hear from our community really align to what we see in the literature. So in the clinical studies, we really see skin outcomes start to optimize at week 8. So it really is a marathon and not a sprint when it comes to collagen supplementation. And I think that also reiterates a message that we are very big on at Vida Glow, and that's that consistency is key. It's really important that you find a way to incorporate collagen supplementation into your routine so that it's integrated, it's easy, but in a way that you can stay consistent with it. That's where you're going to see your results. But there is a caveat, and that is one of our newest collagen product, Pro Collagen Plus, which is our silver one just here. The reason I wanted to call this out is because we are incredibly proud of this product because it really represents the next generation of collagen supplements. These are completely tripeptides. So which are very, very small. As I mentioned earlier, tripeptides can pass directly through the gut. They don't need any further breakdown or digestion. And because they're so small, as low as 300 daltons, they're highly bioavailable. And in our clinical study for this product, we saw results as quickly as 2 weeks. Within 3 weeks, we saw a 42% reduction in wrinkle count with consistent supplementation. So the degree of clinical efficacy, how fast we see results, is also highly related, again, to the concentration and the size of the peptides.
Brilliant. And I guess also lifestyle factors, like you mentioned earlier, if people are smoking or drinking, that will degrade perhaps some of the results they might expect to see because they're still attacking their collagen, I would imagine.
I'm really passionate about this, Sarah, because as much as I love supplementation and clinical devices and facials and all of these things are incredibly powerful tools, but they're never going to make up for a bad lifestyle. And so we have to see our lifestyle practices as just as important, maybe if not more so, as our supplement stack and our treatment protocols. So absolutely. We touched on smoking and alcohol previously. There's good research to show that both of those things accelerate collagen breakdown. Stress is another big one that is involved in or impacting collagen. Even things like pollution, dietary choices, all of those things will impact how quickly or how well collagen is preserved, or whether it's going to break down prematurely and contribute to signs of skin aging earlier than we'd like.
Yeah, no one wants to be looking older sooner. That's basically the bottom line: is healthier lifestyle choices, keep what you've got already there, and then top it up with supplementation, adjusting all of the options that you've got to have healthier looking skin. But are there actually any indications to taking collagen? Is there anyone that cannot take it, or are they medical conditions, or is it really something that is accessible to everyone?
Collagen has an incredibly high safety profile. Again, it is a naturally occurring thing, and it's a protein, so our bodies know exactly what to do with it, and it's very, very safe. The only people that would be strictly contraindicated from using it are people with, well, in our case, marine-derived collagen. Anyone with a fish allergy wouldn't be able to use it, or, anyone with allergies to other sources of collagen. When it comes to medical conditions, potentially anyone with severe kidney issues or other quite serious medical conditions, I would always say if you have serious medical conditions, if you're taking medications, it is always good to just discuss with your physician or your healthcare provider. Just make sure that it's safe and you're getting advice that's tailored to you. The other one that I'd love to touch on is pregnancy and lactation, because unfortunately it's very difficult to conduct studies on pregnant women, even breastfeeding women. Ethically, it's difficult to get your study passed by the ethics committee when it comes to pregnancy. So there are no studies demonstrating safety in pregnancy. But there's also no studies demonstrating that it's unsafe either, because ultimately it's protein and it's naturally occurring. So as long as the source of collagen is pure, it's tested for heavy metals, you're very confident in the quality of the product, there is some research to show that it could be beneficial in scar reduction, in helping the body with the skin expanding throughout pregnancy, and potentially even improving outcomes post-pregnancy with the wound healing, and again with scarring and things like that. So that would be a personal choice, again, a discussion to have with your healthcare professional. But overall, it's really, really safe. And I think, again, for spa owners, there's not everybody wants to come in and have invasive procedures. For some people, that can feel quite scary. So something like collagen is a really non-invasive way to help them support their skin outcomes without procedures.
So that was going to be, I'm going to touch on that question and come back round to that at the end about how we incorporate it in, because I think that'll be a really interesting conversation to have as well. But you just touched on the fish side of it, saying about people with fish allergies. So with regards to that, how do you get the collagen from the fish? I guess that's the question. Is there a specific species that you use? Is it sustainably sourced through a supply chain? How is that? Because I think for some people don't really understand the background of marine collagen. So it'd be interesting just to understand a little bit more about that for the sort of ethical perspective.
Yes, and that's an important question. So our collagen comes from open water farms in France. And so all of our collagen, we're very proud to say, is sustainably sourced. So it's an upcycled ingredient. And what that means is that fish skins that would otherwise be discarded as waste as part of food supply are taken and they are converted into this high quality collagen product that you see. And we use a variety of different fish species so as not to put a burden on any one species and take care of them that way, but also to ensure that we have an optimal amino acid profile for our collagen. So everything is done in a very sustainable way, and upcycling an ingredient that would otherwise be discarded as waste.
I love that. I did not even realize. I mean, I didn't know where I thought it came from. I knew it came from fish, but it makes total sense if you're using, like you say, I love it, upcycling the fish. But it's a brilliant way to. So to go back to what you were saying there about spas incorporating it in, if a spa's looking to add collagen into their treatments or into their retail, how can they best effectively do that, in your opinion, so far, through what you've experienced in spas where you're already retailing?
Oh, there's so many different ways, and I would encourage everybody to get creative as well, because collagen, as we touched on earlier, it really can benefit so many different aspects of the skin. And at Vida Glow, we're really big believers in a bidirectional approach to the skin. And so ingestibles are one tool that we have, but they work incredibly well when they are given as part of a really holistic approach to a person's treatment. So we have a whole range of different products in our range, and they're all concern led. So if spas were looking at different products to incorporate, all of our products have very specific usage for a very specific concern. So we have Radiance Plus, for example, which is all about pigmentation and dark spots. So that could be incorporated into a treatment, perhaps with an energy device or laser, something like Pico, where someone's coming in for their pigmentation. You might also give them topical solutions, and then you can give them their ingestible that's going to prolong and also support that process when they go home. Similarly, we have Hairology, which is all about hair, but possibly not all spas. This might be more for aesthetic clinics that are targeting hair procedures. But anecdotally, we've had great results with pairing Hairology with PRP and those types of treatments for hair loss. So there really is, I think it's really thinking about what that client is coming to you for. And then collagen is a great way for them to prolong and preserve their treatments. We even have, again, this is more aesthetic clinics, but we have partners who include collagen in their preparatory and then their recovery packs following cosmetic surgery because of the way that collagen can support the skin and wound healing and reducing scar formation. And that also helps to add a little bit of value to your clients as well. Yes. Or maybe it's even welcoming people to your spa or your salon with a collagen drink, or incorporating that into the experience, or perhaps even including a month's supply of collagen into the package and they get something to take away and they feel really good about that, and it encourages them to start a routine, and then they keep coming back to you when they're done. So there's so many different ways that you can think about incorporating these products into your experience, into your packages, or even into the way that you think about engineering treatment protocols for your clients as well.
Can you do, this is just something I just thought of then, can you put them into things like a welcome smoothie or, that sort of thing, or does it need to be taken as I've got your shots. Does it need to be taken as a separate shot in that way to be a better absorbed, or could it be put into your post-facial drink, for instance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be put into, a post facial drink. You can give your client the choice of what flavor they like, and serve it that way as part of the experience, or as part of a smoothie when you welcome them, or if they're there for the day. There's all kinds of different ways, or you could give them sachets to take away with them. It really is. That's kind of what I meant when I said I encourage people to get creative, because there's so many different ways that you could do this, and clients love it. And it's also a way for them to sample and see that they like it before committing to a bigger purchase as well.
I think that is one of the things that people do where at the very beginning you mentioned about, and it's very true, you don't go to the gym once and get a six-pack. It is that consistency with any of these things we're doing. And I think one of the hurdles typically with marine collagen, I'm going to be very honest, is it tastes pretty awful. But putting it into the sachet the way you've done with that the berry one that you have and things, it actually, when people taste that, you actually realize it's not the same as perhaps a collagen you've tried that does have that taste. And I think it's important people can just, actually I quite like that, as opposed to that dread of, oh no, not one of those ones, not a fishy one.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Sarah, because we put just as much effort into the experience of our products as we do into the science and the efficacy. Because if something doesn't taste good, it's really unlikely that you're going to want to take it every day. And as we've said, consistency is really critical. So we're really proud. Our collagen does not taste like fish. Our Pro Collagen Plus is flavorless, but it's also odorless. Or we have our original in the natural marine collagen range as well. I love those options because they're really versatile. You can put it into your coffee, you can put it into your tea. It's heat stable, so it's not going to impact how it works. You can put it into your smoothie, you can put it in anything, and you can't taste it, and it's just really easy to integrate into your routine. But we also have options that taste really good as well. The mixed berry in the liquid sachet that you were speaking to is delicious. It's almost like a treat. A lot of us in the office you'll see everybody around 2 or 3 o'clock having their liquid collagen, because it's like a little sweet treat in the afternoon. Or we have lots of flavors as well that go really nicely in water or a sparkling water, and it just tastes like a really elevated drink, and it's a good way to help get some more water into you as well. We know hydration's important. So taste, I really want to encourage everybody just to give us a try, because we don't taste like any of the other marine collagen that's available in market. We've put a lot of effort into making it taste delicious.
Yeah, when I had my first shot at Third Space in London with Adele, she's like, you should try one of these. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh no, I haven't got a drink for afterwards. Because when you do the fishy one and you have to follow it with something, I was like, oh,
a chaser.
Like a collagen chaser. Yeah, that's a brilliant way of missing it. But when I did it, I was like, oh, this is quite tasty. I'll have another. You go, I actually enjoy that flavour.
You actually want to take it. You look forward to taking it.
But the trepidation was there. It was real. I was like, oh. And I think it's super important, because it is that consistency piece. If it's not going to be an enjoyable experience, the best thing about coming into a spa, like you say, is having one at the end of a treatment, or having a smoothie with it in, and actually realizing there isn't an aftertaste. Great results, no aftertaste. It's a winner. It's easy, isn't it? It's not a stress to put it in your diet, your diet or your regular routine. It's not like you need an hour to do a gym session or a workout. It's open, go. It's super easy to integrate in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're all so busy.
Yeah.
We have so many different things to think about. This stuff should be easy, and we've really tried to think about that as well, is how can we make this as simple, as easy, as convenient as possible for people to integrate into their routines, and particularly with the liquid mixed berry that you were speaking to, Sarah. You tear and take straight from the sachet. It's great for travel. You can have it in your handbag. You can have it on, in the car on the way to work. It's really easy.
Yeah, we need easy. Like you say, life is so busy. We need it easy. So I think to recap, we need it to be how do I pronounce that word? Hydrolyzed. Hydrolyzed, because that's how it's absorbed best. Between 2.5 up to 10 milligrams, depending if we want to look radiant for a wedding or you have something exciting to go to. And it's that consistency piece, and even pairing it with the right other supplements like vitamin C, which you said was obviously key to supporting those fibroblasts in their mechanism of creating more collagen. I've learned a huge amount. Things that I didn't know, I just thought, oh, what's the difference between marine and bovine? But actually there's a real impact on the way that you source the one you're going to use, the amount you take and what you pair it with. It's been super interesting, Lauren. I'm so grateful. Is there anything before we go that you would like to add that maybe I haven't asked you?
I would just really encourage people to ask questions. Whilst I hope it's Vida Glow, if not, really ask your collagen supplier about clinical studies they've conducted, about the purity and the quality of the collagen, and ask them about the molecular weight of their product, because that is what we know is going to drive benefits. So I would just encourage people to ask a lot of questions and really just give it a go. It's a powerful supplement. It's really supported by extensive clinical research now, and it has so many benefits to offer.
So smaller molecular size, you don't need a huge amount of it, but check on the back of the packet essentially. Make sure that you know that you're getting the best quality collagen.
Yes.
What a brilliant way to end. And I think that if someone isn't using collagen today, just listening to this, hopefully will persuade them of the benefits. And you look incredible from obviously using Vida Glow yourself. So you are the perfect person to be sat here telling us how great collagen is. So thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarah. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope your listeners have too.
Thank you.